Yeah, hi everyone. This is Srinivas. Today we are going to start discussing about the data structures and algorithms. Data structures and algorithms. So many questions about the course content, how the classes will go, right? About this one. Of course, the most of the students got registered, but still there is a doubt what all the concepts we are going to cover, right? And how we cover the things and all. So first of all, we need to understand what is a data structure and why these are very important. In a simple way, I'll explain first. So why everyone is asking that, saying that data structures and algorithms is a very important topic. So what is the reason behind that? Let me explain. Okay. So first of all, we are the programmers. Yes, we are the programmers. So why we are learning programming, right? What is the end means what? Is just developing the application. Using programming, what you will do means what? I can able to develop one application. That is the end. Okay. Let me take one example. Any example we are taking. Suppose is a bank application or any social media website. For example, Facebook, right? Or we can say that is a YouTube, or we can say that is a Gmail. Anything. Suppose I'm taking IRCTC. Any one application you just consider. What is the purpose of this application? What is the purpose of this application? What is the purpose of all these applications means what? First of all, storing the information. Second one is performing operations on the information. Every application, tell me, what is the main purpose of banking application? Can anybody? Anybody? Yes, for example, when customer comes, I just want to take account from your bank. Okay, then what bank people will do? Simply, so they will collect the details of the account holder and they will provide the account, all the account details. They will store account details. Account details. That is what maintaining the data. Maintaining the data. After that, just perform operations. Perform operations on information. For example, withdraw is a transaction. Deposit is a transaction, is a money transfer, is a transaction, right? Display that mini statement is the transaction. Just they perform operations on information, right? Whatever the data they have stored. Okay. Now here, data structures are used to store the data. Algorithms are used to process the data. Simple. Data structures, data structures data structures used to store information in an organized way. Sir, what is that organized way? I'll explain. And next one is algorithms. All algorithms are used to perform operations on information. While retrieving the information, we are using all these algorithms. In how many ways we are storing the information? Of course, application is there. I just want to store the details. Happy. Here, one value I want to store. One person age I want to store. Happy. You can go with the primitive type. You can go with the primitive type. Just integer a equals to or age is equals to suppose 23. One person age we are storing. A primitive variable. You know that. Using variables only. Using variables we can store information. Okay, first of all, if it is a primitive variable, store only one value at a time, just one value at a time. Suppose int age is equals to 23. Sir, I just want to store 100 people's ages, 100 employee ages or 100 students ages I want to store. For that, they introduced array. Store more than one value, but fixed size. A very important one is what? With a fixed size, fixed number of values we can store, but more than one. For example, employee ages, I want to store integer. Suppose employee ages. How many you can store? You can store how many you want, you can store, but fixed. Once you store, suppose once array is ready, right? You cannot add values to the array and you cannot decrease the size of the array. More than one value if you want to store. I'll explain all these things. Sir, I don't know arrays concept briefly. What all the concepts which are required to learn data structures and algorithms? Clearly, I'll explain in this series. Don't worry about that. Just listen. In how many ways we can store information? Sir, but here it is more than one value you can store, but of same type. Same type means what? If it is an integer, it must stores integers only. Can store only integers. We cannot store a double value or character or string. Other values we cannot. Other values we cannot. Sir, I just want to store different types values. More than one value I want to store, as well as different data types I want to store. Then we must go with the object type. Object is nothing but, if you have any idea of object oriented programming, if not, don't worry, that is also we will discuss. Class. If it is an employee, we can store employee details, employee ID, suppose employee name, employee salary. Whenever you are creating object, a variable holds the value, one object. This is employee object. That memory will be allocated to store the values ID, name, and salary. ID, name, and salary is object. Object can store, object, or we can say that class can store more than one value, just like array, but of different types. Can store of different types also. If you want to store, you can go with the concept called class. Here three are there. Three. Got it? The next one is, sir, I just want to store multiple records. More than, or for example, I just want to store 5 employee details. 5 employee details. Simply array of employee objects. Is a fixed, na? 5 fixed. So it is an array. It is an array. In this array size is of 5. Array size is of 5. And we are storing that 5 objects. Is a first object, is a second object, is a third object, is a fourth object, and is a fifth object. All 5 objects we are connecting from this array. This is what array of objects. But a very important point, whenever array comes into your mind, Remember that size of the array is always fixed. Size of the array is always fixed. That is, sir, I don't know how many employee values I'm going to store. It must be a dynamic. That dynamic with the predefined concept, if you say, is called collection. We can say that it's a collection. Collection is a predefined thing, right? In both in Java as well as in a .NET, collection can store objects dynamically. Dynamically we can store. Just like we can say that list of employee objects. Normally we can say that it's a normal list. No, right? It is a linked list, because suppose whenever you are creating, suppose is a list, from here one object will be connected. Next one is a second object will be connected. Third object. In the middle also, if you want to insert, you can insert. In the middle, if you want to delete, you can delete. That is actually called collection. Is a linked list of objects. Is a linked list of objects. This is a dynamic. Already, if you have any idea of Java collections or .NET collections concept, it will be easy. So one thing you should keep in your mind, what is the purpose of data structures and algorithms? Why it is very, very important means what? The direct answer. Every application is for two reasons only. One is to store the information. Second one is to perform operations on that information. How to store the information means what? Using the concept called data structures. How can we process the information means what? Using the concept called algorithms, searching, sorting, right? All these algorithms. Sir, I don't know all these concepts. I'll brush up in the beginning classes. All these things I'll brush up. So that's the reason what all the concepts we are going to cover. We are starting from the very basic. Firstly, I'll make you understand using the operators concept. How can we able to write the conditions? Logical thinking, I'll improve. Logical thinking. So once quickly operators completed, hardly it will take 1 day or 2 days. After operators concept, exactly where we are using the conditions, I'll explain. Conditions is nothing but conditional statements. You know exactly how to use if else, if, and the nested if. Only the necessary concepts only I'm going to explain. Remember that. After that, I will jump to the loops concept. Loops. What all the loops quickly I'll explain: for, while, and do while. Do while, and followed by sometimes nested loops required. So I'll explain that nested loops. The next one is a very, very important concept, because we are implementing the data structures and algorithms using object-oriented programming concept. Object-oriented, Java or .NET is both are same. Object-oriented programming concept. That's why class, how to create object, how to work with the static variables and methods, instance, variables and methods. I'll explain quickly. After completion of methods, right? Here, a very important concept, you know that is recursion, because most of the data structures concept we will implement using the recursion concept also. Recursion I'll explain. After that, so we will discuss a very important one, arrays concept, and just a few things about that strings I'll explain, because sometimes we need to process that strings also in expression evaluation concept, in other concepts we are using. But arrays compulsory because we need to learn searching techniques, sorting techniques, all the things, everything based on arrays only. Dynamic means what? Is a classes, objects, about the new keyword, methods, and everything. After that, few menu driven programs we need to write. Menu driven programs. Those things also I'll explain how to write the menu driven programs. After completion of this, to understand linked list, tree, and graph, no one will explain. Has a relation is very, very important. If you are already good at has a relation concept, either in Java or .NET, happy. But no means what? You don't worry. Hardly it will take 1 day to learn has a relation, because every concept is based on has a relation. Let me explain first. So what is has a relation and why it is that much important to learn the things. Here, suppose in linked list, normally we are thinking this is the linked list, either single linked list or a double linked list. Suppose a double linked list we are taking. Double linked list. See, this is our thinking because we will see the diagrams in the websites and in the textbooks. Textbooks, so that is a connectivity like this. In a double linked list is connectivity like this. Simply by storing the data. Suppose if it is address is 1,000, consider his address is 2,000, his address is 3,000, and his address is 4,000. Suppose. Now here, whenever you are connecting means what? This 2,000 here, and this 1,000 here, and this 3,000 here, and this 2,000 here, 4,000 here, 3,000 here. In reverse, all the values will connect. But internally, exactly what happens means it will store in the form of objects. This is one object. This is one object. This is one object. This is one object. Address. In object oriented programming, no? Address 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. So both are same, but just the look is different. The data is at 10 and it is storing 2,000, is holding the address of that next one. That is has a relation. Has a relation. Is it 20? It is holding that 3,000, is connecting to this one, and it is holding that 1,000 because it is connecting to this one. Hope you understood. This first node has a second node, and the second node has a first node address. This second node has a third node address. Is a third node has a second node address. Has a relation is very, very important. How can we store address of one object or data of one object inside another object is just because of has a relation only. So from the linked list, easily, right, in 1 or 2 days we can learn stacks and queues. Stacks and queues using arrays, easily we can learn. But later, whenever we start a linked list concept, all the linked lists, next one is a trees, next one is a graphs, next one is a expression evaluation, next one is a B trees, next one is a B plus trees, next one is a of course the graph BFS and DFS, right? Next one is a binary search tree, right? Next one is something AVL tree. Next one is some red black tree. All these are comes under node based concepts. Node based concepts means what? Has a relation is very, very important. Very, very important. Of course, I'll explain, but you need to practice more. So whenever you are good at all these areas, whenever you are good at, then we can start implementing that data structures and algorithms concept. That is, then the data structures concepts will start after completion of this. So everyone quickly need to complete that one. Remember, then the remaining concepts will start. What all the concepts? As we know that initially it starts with the stacks, queues, and different types of queues, double-ended queue, circular queue, everything. Next one is a linked lists concept. This is very, very important. In most of the interviews, they are expecting the questions from the linked lists only. After this concept, just searching techniques. After searching techniques is a sorting techniques. Next one is a binary search tree. Once binary search tree completed, then we can go with expression evaluation. Expression evaluation means infix, prefix, postfix notations. Then we can go with the graph and so many graph related algorithms, DFS, minimum spanning tree, right? Kruskal algorithm, Dijkstra's algorithm, some algorithms, shortest path algorithms, all these things we can complete. Then few more things like B trees, B plus trees, AVL trees, red black trees. Even though you are unable to implement the code for everything, at least in your mind, whenever you are implementing the code for linked list as well as a graph and binary search tree, everything become easy. Everything. But remember that. So once you are perfect in data structures and algorithms concept, how much weight will increase for your resume that you know already. Everyone is looking for the people, those who are good at the data structures and algorithms concepts. So that's why practice. Slowly, I'll explain the things. Slowly. One by one, one by one. Sir, it seems to be very easy for me. Be patient.